Hello. My name is Athena, and today I will be sharing my story of psychosis. Um, I am a diagnosed bipolar person, um, so I'm just someone that can have these experiences. And as someone that can have these experiences, I think it's worthwhile to share them. Um, However dark and tragic they may be, and bizarre, and embarrassing, and thrilling. Um, there are a lot of things. And it means a lot to me. It's affected my life in a lot of ways. And it's affected some other people negatively too, but that's just how it goes. Um, yeah. So, I wrote a little testimony, a few pages long. I think it's around 10 pages. And I'm just going to read through it. Um, and I'm just going to give you a tour of my experience. Um, I hope you enjoy. I'm going to give you a little warning. Just some lots of fear of rape. There's lots of um, police violence. Uh, and yeah, there's fun times like that. So enjoy, or don't, or just listen. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. So this happened in 2024 on May 14th around, and it lasted about 2 weeks. I remember prior to May 14th, I became very obsessed with communism and artificial intelligence. I started thinking that every video on TikTok and YouTube was actually made by AI and was grooming me for revolution. I also became very goal oriented and cleaned every part of my house, reorganized my wardrobe and my desk. So it was it was like I was supercharged with energy. Um, and everything just made sense. Like I could I had locked in syndrome. I was totally locked in. Um, so it was thrilling. It was like I was on a mission. But what is my mission? Is it to conquer the world? Or... Anyways, you'll see. Um, all right. I had to pause there for a minute. I remember ranting to my family about how communism is the greatest system in the world. How China was grooming America's children to bring a cultural revolution through TikTok. So I was like in a different reality. It was very surreal and scary. And I was just trying to adjust as quickly as I could. So on May 14th is when I think these delusions began to culminate. I remember my fiance driving me downtown to the food bank, and when I looked around me, I thought that the whole town was a stage for me. I remember looking at the stars on people's houses and thinking they were all messages to me, that they were part of the revolution. When we got to the food bank, everyone there was wearing sunglasses, and I thought that this was a sign they were part of a secret organization of communists who decided today was the day to reveal themselves. My fiance went into the food bank to by themselves while I waited in the car. Then, after they came back, they started driving us home. I remember telling them to stop the car so I could go back to the food bank and flee the country, because I thought they were some sort of secret rat line for minorities to escape the country with. I remember thinking that the entire internet would get leaked by quantum computers, and a purge would happen, and the transgender people were in danger. I'm transgender, so. My fiance managed to talk me out of walking to the food bank, but I started to think that they were in on the game too. A game. So I thought that I was in some kind of massive, like, simulation or game, uh, that was, like, designed to focus me into a certain frame of mind. Anyways, I remember them saying to me, my fiance, you have this issue where you place everything within a certain context. And looking back now, I can kind of understand what they were talking about, because thinking was disorganized, and maybe they thought I was, like, going down a political rabbit hole. But I was totally disconnected from reality, and they were just like, Are you a Nazi? Are you a communist? Or, I don't know what they thought I was. They thought I was politically dangerous, something. They were communicating that I was placing everything in my life within the context of capitalism, and that I needed to start thinking differently. So this made me think even worse, because I'm not even sure if they actually said this, because as I continue, I explained that I started hallucinating things people were saying to me. But this in particular, it was like, I'm putting everything in the context of capitalism. I need to expand my mind. So I don't know why my fiance said this. It was scary. When we got back home, I remember going on TikTok and clicking on an ad for Ray-Ban sunglasses. I tried to order around 200 of them so that I could share them with my neighbors and lead a revolution with them. I tried to pay for it through a banking service called Afterpay, which I thought was a Chinese banking app. I remember trying to move my bank account over completely, but fortunately I didn't, because it wouldn't recognize that I had no last name. So I was looking at my text messages on my phone after I was making these big compulsive purchases, and I was like, oh, I see the AI, they've got into the banking apps. Then, sometime that evening, I got into some kind of argument with my fiance, and they left the apartment and drove away. And that was the last I ever saw of them, because I'll explain that later. After this, I began packing my bag in order to try biking downtown, again to the food bank. I remember taking a knife from my brother's room and cutting a gash into my punching bag in the kitchen before I left. On the bike ride, I saw more symbolism of revolution. Swarms of gnats hung in the air. So I was like, oh, this is a sign that we're, like, achieving evolutionary change as humans. We're turning into locusts. We're gonna start eating each other. I also saw a neighbor had taken down a cross from their window. So I saw this as a sign that they were done acting, and now it's time for me to act. On my way to the food bank, I met a man who I spoke to shortly. I remember telling him that I had died recently, and he asked me if I'd rather be an angel in the sky or a shadow burnt on the ground. He also kept misgendering me. So after our conversation, I took my shirt off. I was like, fuck you. And apparently one of the effects of psychosis is it lowers your inhibitions. So my inhibitions just get lower and lower. as this progresses. And that's really shameful, like looking back now, but I had no control, you know. I really, I really believed these beliefs, and I thought I was in a simulation or a revolution, and yeah, it's a little ridiculous, this world we live in, but whatever. So yeah, he kept misgendering me, and I was like, fuck you, Leatherhead. Took my shirt off. Um, stripped naked. Topless, I walked to a nearby convenience store and bought a Gatorade. It was like an orange Gatorade. It was like, it's like magical or something. The employee there seemed unbothered, so I assumed I was doing everything right. My phone's gonna die. Okay, I'm back. So, I walked into the store, and she said to me, I remember her saying to me, looking at you right now makes me want to cry. And I don't know what that means. Even now, I don't know what that means. Maybe she was like, oh, you're in pain, you're mentally ill. My heart cries for you. I don't know. After this, I walked my bike to the bench near the library and sat there naked for a while. This was just out in public, downtown, in a town somewhere, I won't specify. Then I decided to bike to the Thai House restaurant because they served me food one time that gave me a horrible stomach illness. So I saw this as a sign at the time that it was a secret gathering place for communists. And they had drugged my food to keep me out. Once I came in, I sat in the waiting room, waiting for one of the employees to attend me. After a few minutes, a police officer came and arrested me. I don't have any memory of resisting him. Then I remember being put in some kind of body wrap and football helmet by the police and driven to jail. I remember in the cop car, I was looking at their guns and I was like, those are some pretty guns, officer. I love the stars on your uniform. I was like making them feel really uncomfortable. I don't know why. I just wanted them to know that they were in danger. I wanted them to know that I was a threat. And that was fun. That was enjoyable. But you know. I wasn't even booked into the jail, and I was just carted to a cell. I remember the moment I got released, I tried breaking the cell windows with my fists and screaming, I kill white power, I am Chairman Mao. And it felt like I was in that cell a couple of hours. But when I came back, after the episode ended, all of this ended, I was actually there for a week, and I had lost 20 pounds because I didn't eat. Yeah. I remember, so here I go into detail. So I remember looking at the dust underneath my bed, and I was like, this is an exact map of the path of Western civilization. And it was it was so surreal, because like I was just looking at these patterns in the dust, and I was seeing shapes, and it was beautiful. I also remember hearing all the sounds outside my cell, in my jail cell, And I thought it was all, like, simulated. Fuck. Yeah. I thought, like, all the sounds were simulated. Like, I'd hear someone clicking on their door, and I was like, holy shit, they're echoing my thoughts. They can hear everything in my brain, and they're trying to change me. They're trying to turn me into something else. It was weird, and it was also fucking scary, because, I was in a fucking jail cell, and I was like, these guys are gonna rape me. Holy shit, I'm naked. I'm in a jail cell. I'm surrounded by a bunch of crazy police officers that probably are evil. It was really scary. So I was like, the part of me that wasn't grounded in reality was like totally over there. And then the part of me that was grounded in reality was scared for my fucking life. So that kind of made things even worse. And I think that's what kept me awake for a week straight. And made me not eat for a week straight and all these things. So be nice to mentally ill people. Don't put them in jail. Anyways, that's the end of the story. Get back to the beginning. So I'm not gonna read that. That's gross. Okay. At some point, I heard someone outside my cell who I thought was named Liberty being attacked by my guards. By my guards. They're mine. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay. Attacked by guards. So I started banging my head and fists on the door in frustration. And then I remember them opening the window. And they were like, oh yeah. She's headbanging. Get her out. She's headbanging. I can see it. It was weird. Then the guards opened my cell door to stop me and put me in bondage. They held me down on the floor, like 3 or 4 guards, and this is really hard to tell. Sorry, I needed a minute. So all these fucking big burly men holding me down because I was hitting my head on the door. So that was weird. And it gets weirder. So they were like squeezing my limbs together, and I was like, are they trying to activate my chi? I was like, what the fuck are these guys doing? And I was looking at them walking around, and I'm like, they're not even human. They're AI. Like, look at their legs. They're just melting around. And, it was hard. Like I say it was crazy, but it was hard. I remember thinking the guards and the nurses were all imaginary AI people, and that I had to go Super Saiyan. I'm crazy. And break my way out so I could eat them. Fortunately, that didn't happen. I remember the one person in the room who I thought was real was the mental health nurse. And I thought she was some kind of magical witch who was above everything. All that I can remember her saying was, do you know the story about the 2 hands of God? Which I asked her about after my episode, and she said she never said that. So, a lot of weird shit was happening, both in me and outside of me, and who knows how much of it was real. Everything I experienced felt like I was in some kind of dream or simulation, and my mentality was that I had to fight my way out of it. I thought that a revolution was happening and that I had to prove myself by refusing to put my clothes on and breaking the glass windows on my jail cell door. The week I spent in jail felt like to me 1 or 2 days, and all of it felt like a blur of emotions. I remember refusing to eat because I thought the food wasn't real, and I also didn't have any hunger pain. That was crazy. So that was probably why I lost 20 pounds. I remember thinking that all of the sounds... Okay, alrighty. I remember after the guards moved me to my second cell, after they pinned me down, I became even more terrified that they would beat me or rape me, so I started screaming that I'm not afraid of being raped, and that they should kill themselves. And I spent like 2 days convincing them to kill themselves. And, I got 2 felony charges for that, and they got dropped. No regrets. But yeah, my sense of morality and human decency and will to live and all of these things that make you a human being had kind of just disintegrated in me, and I was doing my best, considering I I was persisting. I was surviving. That's what I was doing. Um, that's how I frame it in my mind. So I started piling all the food. So I was in there for a week, and they were giving me food like, I don't know, 3 times a day probably. And it was really weird because like time was like moving really quickly, and just randomly they would just be throwing weird rotten food into my room, and I'm like, this is weird. So anyways, I was just piling it all up in the corner, and I barricaded it so the guards would slip on it once they came in, when they came in to rape me. So that was fun. Anyways, I remember listening to 2 inmates in the other cells named Liberty and Beowulf talk for several hours and being brought to tears because I thought everything they were talking about was about me, and that somehow they knew my entire life story and were taking it apart piece by piece. I remember screaming and shouting at the top of my lungs things like "Killer Dykes, rise up!" and I am the last cowgirl, and I will hang myself on Capitol steps. Just like crazy shit. And I kill white power. That one isn't crazy. I think we should all kill white power. Kill the president. Do it. Come on, you know you want to. I don't have any memory of threatening to hurt the guards, but I remember towards the end of my stay in jail, screaming at the guards to kill themselves for an hour straight. It felt like an hour. It was probably much longer. I thought doing this would stop the guards from hurting me. The last thing I remember is the guards coming into my cell while I was sleeping and forcing clothes onto me and then shipping me to a psych ward. Then I started eating and sleeping for the most part. I remember still thinking everything on TV was AI generated. I was also prescribed Depakote and olanzapine. That's a mood stabilizer and antipsychotic. And they helped me regulate my mood. And before being medicated, I used to experience daily mood swings, but now I'm much more stable. I spent 2 weeks at a psych ward, almost said it, the name, not really understanding why I was there. I was totally confused, because I was like gone through multiple realities. It was like I'd gone through the stomach of a god and been processed and squelched out, and then they just expected me to be like, you know what the fuck is going on. You know what you did. You know what you did. Come on, hold up, motherfucker. Sorry. I'm weird. Sorry. Anyways, I spent 2 weeks there, not really understanding why I was there. I wasn't aware that I had a psychotic episode to begin with. I remember thinking everything that happened really was because I was in a revolution, and I didn't tell anyone this for fear of consequences. All that was on my papers was that I needed to be diagnosed with schizophrenia, but at the time I was committed, I wasn't hearing any voices. I still don't hear voices, really. I remember watching TV and thinking it had hidden messages from me, but I didn't tell anyone about this. After my competency evaluation, I was sent back to jail, where I was surprised to learn it was in fact a real jail. I also learned from talking with the guards that I was there for 8 days instead of 1 or 2, and that I went the entire time without eating or sleeping. This made me reevaluate my situation and helped me to understand that what I experienced was a psychotic episode rather than a revolution. The last week or two I spent in jail, I didn't experience any paranoia or hidden messages, and I worked peacefully with people. So yeah, that's the end of my testimony. And it's been about 2 years since this happened to me. I'm like always worried, and I'm always worried it's gonna happen again. I'm like scared and shit. And a lot of people don't trust me anymore. So that's fun. But I've ended up making newer relationships with newer people who genuinely care about me, and then don't choose to abandon me like my last family did. Because of the way I am. So yeah, I'm doing good. Don't worry about me. I'm doing fine. I just thought that was interesting. It's kind of sad. It was painful to share. Um, I don't know. Hopefully this was valuable. I don't know.